Okay, so welcome back to our next video in the Alien Invasion series. So in this video, we are going to add our ship into the game. So we're going to start off with creating a ship class. But actually, before we start that, let's create a folder in which we can put our images. So again, we have our Alien Invasion folder that we should be in, and we see all the files that we have so far. We're going to hover here, create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it images. And then inside of that images folder, we're going to be able to store our image of a ship. And really you can do anything here, but we have an image for the ship that's going to match the background pretty well with what we have already. So our ship is going to be a square rectangle, and so it has a background color that matches pretty well with the color we chose for our background. So you're not going to notice that it has a background because the colors match so well. Another way to kind of avoid this is to get an image that has a transparent background. And if you have that, that would work pretty well also. So let's get our ship image and get it stored and saved into this images folder. Okay, so to get that, you should be able to access it from our Google Classroom. And again, I have the Alien Invasion topic created, and I have this resource files material also created. And you can see I have a ship.bmp file attached currently. You should be able to click on this and download it onto your downloads, and from there you can come into your file folder here. You see I'm in the VS Code Python programs, and then here's my Alien Invasion. You can double click on that, and there's the images folder I just created. So we'll double click in there, and then I'm going to bring that ship.bmp file into here. So now that I have that, you can see if I click on here, it's now here. And that ship.bmp is in my images folder, which is inside of my Alien Invasions folder. Now I'm all set to add it into the code. So, as I said, we want to create a ship file because we're going to create a ship class. Let's see, we'll open that back up. We'll create a new file, and we're going to call this ship.py. And there's my ship.py. Now, this class is going to use some Pygame material as well. So we're going to go ahead and import Pygame so that we have access to that material. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to create the class ship. Let's capitalize that. And then let's create a docstring, and we'll call this a class to manage the ship. All right, now that we have that, what's the first thing we have to do? Exactly, define our init method. Again, we'll not be creating it in that manner. So, in this init method, we are actually going to take two parameters. So the self, of course, because that's always there. And then we're also going to call the AI game. And so that is going to give us access. Remember, AI is the object, the Alien Invasion object that we created. in the alieninvasions.py to make it run. So let's throw a doc string in here, and this is going to initialize the ship and set its starting location. So we'll do that by referring to self.screen to be equal to the AI game.screen. So what this does is the AI had a screen, and it's a rectangular screen, and we're going to create a screen, and this is all about positioning the ship. So we want these two things to match up with each other, right? We want the screen of the ship to match with the screen of the game. And as I mentioned, these shapes are rectangles. So we are going to create a self.screen rectangle or screen rect. And we're going to initialize that as the AI game screen kit. Right. And what that does is it allows this getRect method to find the rectangle's location and coordinates, and that's going to be captured, and we're going to store that as the screen rectangle's location and coordinates as well. So that now that we have that all there, we will load the ship image, because having the image and loading it are two different steps. We're also going to get its rectangle location as well. So we'll call it self.image is going to be equal to a pygame.image.load. And so we're going to put in this location. So it's in the images file. So images slash ship.bmp. And that needs to match exactly as it is stated in our file folder. So it's in the images folder, and this matches exactly, backslash gets us into the folder, and it's got to match exactly what you said here, ship.bmp, ship.bmp. So that gets our image loaded up and stored as the self.image. And then we're going to find our self.rect. So this will get our actual rectangle for the self to be equal to the self.image.getRect. So we'll go to the image, we'll find the image's rectangle's coordinates, and then we're going to store that as the self's rectangle as well. So there we go. We have most of it done here, but that gets the load, that loads the ship's image, it gets its rectangle, and now we are going to, we need to start each new ship at the bottom center of the screen. And so to do that, we'll say self.rect.mid bottom will equal self.screen rect.mid bottom. So what this does, right, is the screen has a rectangle, and there's different ways of figuring out how these things are measured, right? Rectangles have an upper left-hand coordinate, a lower left-hand coordinate, a middle coordinate, midlines, all these different ways of kind of measuring the rectangle. And it used to be that programmers would have to do a lot of different little calculations to be able to figure out, okay, if the upper left-hand corner has this coordinates and the rectangle is so many pixels wide and so many pixels tall, where would the middle be? And then we have to match up all these different calculations. Well, Pygame makes this easy because it's already kind of created these little attributes. So when you create a rectangle, it knows where the upper left is. It knows where the lower left and the lower right and the mid bottom and the mid top and the mid center. It's got all those calculated already. And so what I can do is just say that the image's rectangle mid bottom is the same as the screen's rectangle's mid bottom. So if they have the same mid bottom, it'll always locate itself in the middle of the screen. And so there we go. That is how we get the ship to start in the middle of the screen every time. And that is our init method for our ship. It's a lot going on there, but take a minute and just realize how it progresses through each time about getting a screen from the AI, creating a rectangle, getting the image, creating a rectangle, matching those two rectangles together so that we know that our ship will always be located in the middle of the screen. And now we're going to define a method that we're going to call splitme. And we'll give it the self parameter. And you may be saying, what is this doing here? Well, this is going to draw the ship if I can spell correctly. It's going to draw the ship at its current location. And we're going to do that with the self.screen split. And this is a method that will take the self.image and the self.rectangle and put them together so that it will draw the ship at the current location. Anytime I say splitme, it's going to call the screen split method and load in the self's image and the self's rectangle, and that will draw the ship at the correct location that we need it to be in. Okay. Last thing we're going to do here now is, now that we've created the ship, let's go ahead and save this. Now that the ship is created and we have everything loaded, we still need to get the ship onto the screen. So let's go back to our alien invasion. So you see I'm going to click over here on alien invasion. And now that we have a ship class, if we want to be able to use a ship object, then we need to go from ship, import ship. And again, that allows us to create a ship without using all the dot notation, and makes it not too bad if we've only got one class in that file right now. This again simplifies everything to make it easier when I'm typing this. So now that we are in here, let's go ahead and we're going to put it here. After we set our caption, we're going to come down in here and we're going to say self.ship will equal a ship. And there we go. And you may be wondering here, I had said before that we don't ever need to refer to the ship or to the self as a parameter, but this is a bit different. Here, self is referring to an alien invasion. So when the alien invasion is creating its own ship, and it's to be a ship, but remember that ship takes two parameters. One of them is an AI game. And so this self is that second parameter, the second argument. It has to be an alien invasion. And right now, self in the alien invasion is referring to an alien invasion. So we're sending an alien invasion to the ship constructor. So I know that's a little bit confusing, but it is important to be able to make the connection between the ship and the alien invasion. So we do need this self to refer to an alien invasion that we're sending to the ship constructor, which is required. Okay, so now inside of our run game method, after we fill our screen with the background color, then we're going to go ahead and put our ship on there. So we'll call self.ship.blipme. And again, the self.ship is the ship that belongs to the AI. And every ship has a blipme method because we created one. So the ship is going to call the blipme method and it will draw it to the screen. And there we go. We now have a program that puts a ship on our screen when we run it. So let's take a look. And there's our ship. And here's our screen. Now we're not able to move anything. You could hit buttons all you want, but we haven't programmed it to do anything yet. So you see we're making some progress here. We have our world. We have our ship on the world, and notice the center of the ship is at the center of the screen at the very bottom. This is called the mid-bottom. So the mid-bottom of the ship is at the mid-bottom of the panel of the screen. So the middle of the ship, bottom, in the middle of the screen, bottom, is exactly the same point because we set them equal to each other. All right, so that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.